After this lecture, you will understand what is biochemistry, its history and application. Biochemistry is the study of living organisms and their interactions with one another. It deals with how cells work, what they are made of, and what happens when chemical reactions take place inside them. Even if it sounds like the science of chemistry or biology, biochemistry is related to many sciences, such as here. What comes to the main branches of biochemistry, there are only three of them: molecular biology, organic chemistry, and biophysics. Molecular biology is the branch of biochemistry that studies the molecular basis of biological activity, while organic chemistry is basically referred to as a study of structure, properties, reactions, composition, and preparation of the carbon-containing compounds or organic compounds. And finally, biophysics, which is the field that applies the theories and methods of physics to understand how biological systems work. Biophysics can also be used to study how we see. Another way that biochemistry impacts vision is with eyesight correction, for instance, wearing glasses, which help correct distance sight. As mentioned above, biochemistry studies structure and functions of biological molecules and life processes inside them. There are basics of biochemistry like cellular respiration, photosynthesis, metabolism, and genetic information. Metabolism is a phenomenon in the body cells that can be able to change food into energy. The metabolism process is done in both humans and animals as well. Cellular respiration is a series of chemical reactions that break down glucose to produce ATP, which may be used as energy to power many reactions through the body. So, the next time you are looking at a leaf or a flower and wondering what makes it alive, think about all of the chemicals like water or oxygen that make up its cells, proteins to store energy from sunlight for photosynthesis, or sugars to feed them in order to grow. And the last phenomenon is genetic information. A genome is a complete set of genetic information in an organism. It provides all of the information the organism requires to function. In living organisms, the genome is stored in long molecules of DNA called chromosomes. According to these basics, there are 5 foundations in biochemistry. There are 5 of them: lipids, carbohydrates, proteins, nucleic acids, and enzymes. In this table, you will learn about the structure and functions of each of these biomolecules. Let's move to the structure and functions of the cell. Everyone's body is made of the same basic stuff. All living things, large or small, plant or animal, are made up of cells. Most living things are made up of one cell and they are called unicellular organisms. Many other living things are made of a large number of cells that form a larger plant or animal. These living things are known as multicellular organisms. Water makes up about half of the weight of cells. Cells are very small. Most cells can only be seen through a microscope. Cells are the smallest living units that are capable of reproducing themselves. Each cell in your body was made from an already existing cell. To understand what biochemistry is or why it's important, let's take a look at how this field evolved. The history of biochemistry dates back as early as ancient Greece, where thinkers such as Aristotle would make conclusions about living organisms by analyzing their physical characteristics and various traits like reproduction rates. In 1833, German psychologist Albert von Kollecke used chemistry findings to explain cellular functions for the first time in history during his experiment with frog egg cells under a microscope. So, who is the father of biochemistry? The father of biochemistry is none other than the famous scientist James D. Watson. His research is still being studied today, and his work is known to have paved the way for many discoveries in genetics. He was also awarded two Nobel Prizes, one being for his discovery of DNA structure and another for discovering how genes are copied. This man has huge impact on medicine as well as science in general. There have been many significant discoveries in the field of biochemistry, such as how DNA and RNA work together to create cells, developing treatment for cancer, diabetes, and other major health problems, figuring out how pollution affects our environment, discovering the origins of life on Earth by studying ancient fossils, and analyzing human DNA to learn more about genetic diseases. All these discoveries are possible because biochemists do their experiments in labs around the world. Recent era is focusing on developing new life-saving drugs. Coronavirus is the recent example of this. The importance of biochemistry is not just for scientific or academics, it affects everyone, from the food we consume to the clothes we wear. Everything has some degree of chemical composition. For example, without knowing how inhalation works, you may think that you need something like an oxygen tank. However, when you look at it through the lens of biochemistry, we only need oxygen because our cells are making energy from sugars that break down into carbon dioxide and water. Another example is that our blood is made up of plasma, which contains important proteins like albumin, clotting factors, and antibodies. Albumin being one of the most abundant ones. These components help keep things moving freely in our bloodstream by holding onto fats so they don't clog up arteries. Plus, these proteins can also be produced when needed thanks to a process called translation. In general, it would be difficult to overstate the importance of the role biochemistry plays in our lives. No doubt, many amazing and transformational discoveries lie ahead.